Okay, we're all set in all the other two offices?
Mhm.
Great, okay. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order on August 1st, already here. Christmas is on its way. And we haven't even got through Halloween or Thanksgiving yet, but it's here. At this time, minor things we have to do is to make sure that all staff as well as CAC members, please turn off your phones or put them on vibrate so we don't have any interruption of issues with the other officer with our video system. During the meeting, I will go through and read each item before so the public knows what item we're on. And as we conclude on each item and going to the next item, that will be anybody that's on audio will be able to at least follow along with us. And also at the same time, I will announce for public comment after each item of the agenda in all three locations, and anybody that's online, as far as making sure that we don't lose anybody, okay? At this time, we'll call roll, please.
Okay, good morning. Manuel Cunha.
Here.
Les Clark. Christine Zimmerman. Laura Brown. Donald Horrall. Amy Lopes. Here. Roger Hofstall.
Here.
Chris Savage.
Here. Can they hear me?
Derek Williams.
Here.
Casey Austin Tibbetts.
Here.
John Sanders.
Here.
Kelly Deming. Oh, thank you, Mr. Sanders. Kelly Deming.
Here.
Ned Leba. Jamie Agers.
Here.
Mary Fast. Scott Robertson. Orchel Cryer. John Crump. I see. Is Mr. Cryer present? Okay, thank you.
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Good morning, thank you. Kayla Schmaro, here. Jeff Troost.
Here.
Jose Delgadillo.
Here.
Thank you. Ben Cantu.
Here.
Richard O'Brien.
Here.
Dennis Madero.
Here.
And through the chair, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much. Do we have any new members that we need to introduce at this time for anybody that's we're safe as far as?
We are. Last month, we did welcome Mr. Troost from Chowchilla. So
Great.
this is his second meeting.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to item number 3, approval of the June 6th minutes. And at this time, I will open it to the north on the CAC board members. Any changes or corrections to the minutes on the 6th of June? Hearing none, let's go to the south. Any corrections to the minutes on item number 3 from June 6th? Let's bring it to the central, to Fresno. Any CAC members, corrections or changes? Okay, let's go to the public. In the north, any public comments on the minutes of June 6th?
No public comment in the north.
Great, thank you. Let's go to the south.
No public comment in the south.
Great, thank you. Let's bring it back here to central. Any
Okay.
public comments?
No indication of any public comments in person or online.
Okay, great, thank you. At this time, Dan, I will approve that the minutes for June 6th will be taken as what has been presented. So again, thank you, everybody, and thank you for all of those that attended the meeting on the 6th as well. Yes,
Yeah,
Mr.
through the chair, I just wanted to let you know, I'm going to be leaving at 10:30, but my alternate is here today in the Bakersfield office.
Okay,
Mr. Rios, thank you.
okay, great. All right, thank you, Mr. Williams. Okay, at this time, we'll go to item number 4, public comments. At this time, these items that the public is to comment is on those items that are not on the agenda for today's meeting. So at this time, I will open it to the public in the north. Any public comment?
There is no public comment in the north.
Great, thank you. Let's go to the south.
No public comment in the south.
Great, thank you. Let's bring it back here to the central. Any public comment?
There's no indication in office or online.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Let's go to item number 5, which is comments from the chair. And so Ryan, will appoint you as temporary chair. But from my part of the executive committee, is Samir going to be here today? No, he's not here, right? Okay, all right. So my comments, again, I want to thank everybody for doing the June 6th meeting. Thank you all for being part of that. Thank you. We'll go from there to item number 6, the executive. Ryan, will you handle that part?
I will. Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. Ryan Hayashi, one of the Deputy Air Pollution Control Officers with the district. I have a few updates. As Manuel mentioned, we did not have a board meeting in July, but the last one was in June, and then there's a few updates from that. During that meeting, the board accepted and appropriated $30 million for the district's vehicle replacement program, Drive Clean in the San Joaquin. Brian Dodds, who's the program manager in our Ascends department, will be providing an update on that item later on the agenda. The district also approved an additional $1 million in funding to further support the Clean Air Rooms program. That's providing free residential air filtration devices to Valley residents in low-income and disadvantaged communities. We've seen strong interest and participation in the program to date, which is really good. Lastly, just wanted to provide an update on something that you've heard here during our rule updates. We did take a suite of oil and gas rule amendments in June, and they were adopted by our board. Another program that we recently launched was the Zero Emission Landscaping Equipment Grant Program. It provides businesses and public agencies up to 100% off the cost of new equipment, including ride-on mowers, walk-behind mowers, edgers, string trimmers, hedge trimmers, other devices like that. And the district is inviting all interested parties to a free event that we're holding tomorrow to share more information about that program. It's going to be held at Young Elementary School in Fresno from 9 to 1 p.m. tomorrow. And we can definitely send information out to the committee about that event. And those are my updates. Thanks.
Through the chair, I just wanted to make a note that Mr. Clark has arrived in the southern region.
Great, thank you very much. Welcome, Mr. Clark. At this time, I will hold my comments until the end. I will go to the north. Any comments from the CAC members in regards to Ryan's presentation? Okay, hearing none. Let's go to the south. CAC members on item under the under the executive committee's comments.
This is Les Clark. Just stepped in. I was on a phone call, but in his presentation, he said a suite of oil regulations. I hope he spells that right, because I don't think anything sweet about it.
Okay, thank you. Any other CAC member comments in the south? Okay, let's bring it back here to the central. Any CAC member comments? Okay, I have a question on the landscape maintenance that the board launched and you guys launched. Do you have to turn in your gas vehicle, or it could be a diesel vehicle if it's a ride-on lawnmower, maybe. You're covering 100% of the cost. Is there because a ride-on lawnmower could cost $4,000 or $5,000. How much of that cost is 100% of that cost of that? Being that the electric's going to be, how much is the electric, Ryan? Do you have an idea?
It ranges based on the pieces of equipment. Probably the most expensive are the ride-on lawnmowers, and those have a cost. We've seen, it vary quite a bit, but probably the maximum we've seen is about 30,000.
30?
Yeah, that's like an industrial size
right.
ride-on lawnmower. We've also seen ones much less expensive.
But it's 100% of the cost of the new.
Up to, correct.
Up to.
Yeah.
For that battery-driven, whatever.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Landscape maintenance, and you stated homeowners, or you stated commercial landscape maintenance, landscapers who do landscaping, commercial businesses that do their own maintenance because they have their own people, right?
Correct.
But not the private homeowner. Like, let's say me, just for example, right? The private homeowner wants to go buy, because I got a lot of lawn, let's just say. I don't have any lawn, but I would not be eligible for that, or would I?
You're eligible for a different program that we have, which is the Clean Green Yard Machine, which provides rebates to residents of the valley.
Okay.
Yeah, this program is for businesses and public agencies.
Okay.
So, can I follow up?
Please.
So that does follow up on like governmental, that type of thing.
Correct.
School districts, cities, whatever it may be.
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. That was the clarity. You know what you might want to do, maybe, if we could send to all the CAC members a one-sheeter on the Clean Green Machine concept, public, and then the new program, which is, as what Stars was saying, that would allow the commercial, government, schools, and all those. So then they can get that and send that out maybe. I know I have some packing houses that do their own landscape maintenance because of food safety discussions. And, they would be eligible that they can get some of this equipment. And I think that would be good, so we could send it out to them and so we don't get the two programs confused.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen, participation, it opened up a few months ago. And so we've seen participation from schools, cities, counties, farming operations. So it's open up to all businesses and all public agencies.
Have you seen, and I'll take another second of this, have you seen an increase in the grounds maintenance people coming to the Air District for these programs?
Yeah, over the last several months, we're starting to see a lot more. We're obviously doing a lot more outreach and trying to get more people to participate because we have quite a bit of funding for this program. And it's good because it gets a lot of the localized emission reductions. A lot of these older pieces of lawn and garden equipment put out, in comparison, just a tremendous amount of air pollution, like in comparison to a car. I mean, I think I've seen examples where it said, a lawnmower running for an hour is equivalent to a car driving from Sacramento down to San Diego. So just like in total volume of emissions. So
great. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Let's go to the public. I think we need to do, if there's any questions of the public in the north of Ryan on his presentation.
No public comment in the north.
Great. Let's go to the south.
No public comment in the south.
Great. Let's bring it back here to the central. Any public comment?
There's no indication of any public comments in office or online.
I have to step away for a second. sorry about that. One of the Air District staff is back from having an injury, and welcome back very much, Tom, very much. All right, we did the public and we're ready to go on to item number 7. All right, let's go to item number 7. Okay, let's see. John?
Emily.
Emily? John. I'm going to say, John, the floor is yours, okay?
All right, thank you, Mr.
Item
Chair.
number 7.
Yes, thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Emily's out today, so I'm happy to fill in. I'm John Klassen, Director of Air Quality Science and Planning, and to give you a few updates on some planning and rulemaking action since the last CAC meeting. Wanted to update you first on a recent EPA action regarding the 1997 PM 2.5 standard, the annual average portion specifically. This is for the 15 microgram annual average. On July 14th, EPA proposed to approve our plan for that standard, which is good news. We've been waiting for that. We've been working closely with them. So they proposed approval just a few weeks ago. So we'll be tracking that closely as public comment continues on that. Another item on the planning front for ozone specifically, at our June governing board meeting a few weeks ago, our board approved the maintenance plan for the 1-hour ozone standard. We've attained this a number of years ago. We now put together our plan that shows that we'll continue to maintain and stay in attainment of that standard going down the road into the future. So our board approved of that maintenance plan, and that's been submitted to EPA for their review. So they're looking at that. Then just a couple updates on the rulemaking side. Ryan already mentioned the leak detection and repair rules that our board adopted updates to at our June governing board meeting. So those have been approved and submitted to CARB and EPA for their review. And one other item I wanted to point out on the rulemaking side was we did a workshop at the end of June for Rule 3171, the non-attainment fee rule for the 1997 8-hour ozone standard. That workshop was held June 27th to get some feedback, and that's planned to go to our board at the August board meeting for their consideration. And that's it for my few updates on what's happened the past few weeks, and be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you very much, John. All right, let's go to the north. CAC members, any comments?
Through the chair, this is Chris Savage. I'm off camera because I'm in the audience because we have a full house down here today. John, what kind of feedback did you get on the non-attainment fee workshop that you did? Can you expand on that for the CAC members?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. There were a few people in attendance. I don't think we got any public comment directly on that verbally. There's a comment period right now. People can submit written comments. Our permitting team is leading that effort, and I'd have to check with them to see if we've had any written comments or feedback along the way. But the workshop, we didn't get any feedback there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, any other members in the north of John's comments on the rules? Okay, let's go to the south. CAC members on number 7. Okay, hearing none, let's bring it back to the central. Any CAC member comments on the rules? I have one. The acceptance is going to go in the Federal Register for the comments on.
For the PM 2.5 plan? Yeah, so EPA proposed approval of this a couple weeks ago. It's open for public comment. People can.
60 days?
I think I'd have to double check the time, either 30 or a 60-day. Okay. I can look that up, but yeah, it's open for public comment, and those comments will go into the docket, and then EPA will make a final determination after that point.
Okay, well, congratulations to the whole team and everybody.
Yeah.
Let's hope everything goes right. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it. All right, let's go to the public. Any public comment at this time? In the north?
No public comment in the north.
Great. Let's go to the south. Public comment.
No public comment in the south.
Great, let's bring it back here to Fresno, to the Central. Any public comment?
There's no indication of any online comments as well.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, let's go to item number 8, verbal report from the California Resources Board, CARB. Laura? Laura, are you there or?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Hi, good morning, Mr. Chair. This is Laura Carr. I'm an air pollution specialist at the California Air Resources Board in our Air Quality Planning and Science Division. I have the CARB update today. Just like the district, the CARB board did not hold a hearing in July, so going back to the June meeting, there's just one item that I want to highlight here, and that's that the board adopted amendments to the greenhouse gas emission standards for crude oil and natural gas facilities, also called the methane regulation, which addresses additional US EPA state implementation plan requirements for oil and natural gas sources. The methane regulation requires facilities to inspect and repair emission sources identified by satellite monitoring as those data become available, and will reduce methane emissions from oil and natural gas production, processing, transmission, and underground storage. CARB expects to begin obtaining satellite data capable of detecting large methane emission plumes in the coming years, as 2 satellites are planned for launch in 2024 through a consortium in which CARB is a partner. So that's a quick update today. That's the only item that I wanted to highlight, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura. CAC members in the north, any questions of Laura? Hearing none, let's move to the south. Any questions of presentation by Laura on CARB? Okay, let's bring it back to the central. Any CAC member? Oh, go ahead, please.
I apologize. John in Bakersfield. Is this the rules that revisit the 3,200 foot setback of oil wells, or is that part of this or no? Where we have the if you have gases within 3,200 feet of an area, or am I barking up the wrong tree on this one?
Thanks for the question. I can follow up with the appropriate staff to make sure that you get an answer to that question.
Thank you.
Okay, let's bring it back here to the central. Any members of the CAC comments? If not, let's go to the public in the north on item number 8. Any public comment in the north?
No public comment in the north.
Great, let's go to the south, public comment. No public comment in the north, in the south, I believe. Let's bring it back here. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that when you're able to at least let me know, and that way we can make sure we don't mess up. Thank you. Let's bring it back here to the central. Any public comment?
No indication online.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Laura. Okay, appoint a CAC subcommittee for the hearing board appointments. Ryan, I'll turn that over to you, young man.
All right. Thank you, Chair. So under state law, each air district across the state is required to have a body called a hearing board composed of 2 public members, 1 member admitted to the practice of law in the state, 1 professional engineer, and 1 medical professional who are authorized to provide relief from district and state rules and regulations under certain circumstances. Due to the size and the differing source types across the valley, the district actually has 3 regional hearing boards. The district's governing board has developed a process where the CAC plays a key role in providing recommendations for the addition of hearing board members. The process involves putting together an ad hoc subcommittee with no more than 2 members from each of the interest groups due to quorum requirements, who will conduct phone interviews with each applicant. Currently, we have numerous openings and have received applications for public members in the South. Currently, we have a primary membership and 2 alternate memberships for that region, for that position. There's also an application for an alternate legal representative, also in the South. And then we have received an application for a legal representative, which will be a primary member for the Northern region. It's really important that we fill these positions because we have to have a quorum on that committee in order for facilities to be able to bring forth petitions to have those heard. And in the majority of cases, there's very strict, timeliness issues with having those hearings. So at this point, I'll turn it over to the chair for discussion and action.
Great, thank you very much. At this time, I'll open it up for the board for discussion in the North and the South and the Central. If any of you members have ideas or thoughts or comments or suggestions on representatives or yourself wanting to be on the hearing board, absolutely we'll take that up at this time. So Kelly?
Quick question. So what exactly? You need 2 from each, 2 CAC members from each. I'm just being clear.
Ideally, yes, we would get 6 total,
okay.
2 from each of the interest groups.
Okay, I volunteer.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
I will also volunteer from the ag side, from the industry ag side. I've done it before also.
Okay, great.
Couple of phone calls.
Okay. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody in the South as well or in the North of CAC members. Any comments from anybody wanting? We have 2. So Ryan, we need to get 1 more. 4 more. Well, yeah, 4. Yeah, total.
Yeah. So right now we have 1 environmental and 1 industry. So we would still need 2 city and 1 from
timeline. I think that's maybe something. Could you mention? I mean, does it take 40 hours a week, 365 days a year, and we get pizza at the end of the hearing? I don't think so.
No, it definitely does not take 40 hours. It's like Derek mentioned, it's a phone call to the applicants. We provide you the applications and the interview form to go through. You talk with each of the potential candidates, and then you would get back together and discuss. The subcommittee would get back together at a certain point and discuss. Ideally, that's done before the next CAC meeting. Hopefully, after the discussion, there's recommendations that are brought back for the entirety of the CAC to then provide those recommendations to the district's governing board.
Okay. And we have a hearing every month. There's a hearing going on because of the request by the industry.
Potentially, yeah. It's usually circumstances out of their control. They need some type of relief from district rules while, for example, maintenance is performed on pieces of equipment. That's not allowed for through their permit.
Correct. Okay.
Through the chair. I was just going to ask if it's possible, when we have done the interview calls, we've made our notes and we've made our recommendations, we forward our recommendations to the district. If the district has reviewed all of those, and if all 6 that came in were positive for all candidates, then maybe the district could just let us all know that we don't have to reconvene because we have a unanimous decision in favor of all the different applicants. Would that be something that we could actually do legally?
My understanding is that the committee is still supposed to get back together, discuss the candidates. It doesn't have to be, I think, just providing the input, the conversations, and making sure that everybody.
So we could, at the next CAC meeting, we could all agree to show up 15 or 20 minutes ahead of the meeting and take care of our business at that time, or half an hour early.
Yeah.
It seems like we've done it on the phone before too.
Yeah, is that acceptable?
That is, a conference call between the subcommittee members to discuss their interviews is satisfactory.
That would work for me too.
So we need a representative, right? Go ahead, please.
Or this is Orchel from Bakersfield. So can one of the city slot, could we be one of the board members on this on this board here apply for it?
Is the question, can a CAC member apply to be a participant on the district, on one of the hearing boards?
That is correct.
You know what? I'm not sure.
If they meet the qualification of an engineer or one of the three categories, I don't think it says you are excluded. Maybe I can refer to maybe the audience, maybe Tom or any comment or maybe council. Maybe we can get council.
No, thank you, Mr. Cryer, for raising a good question. We can definitely look into that and get back. I think the only thing that if it is allowed, then it would exclude them from being able to participate on like the Ag Hoc subcommittee.
Right. Okay. Now you say something about an engineer. What's the qualification for an engineer?
So you have to be you have to have the certifications required, with the state of California. Be certified as a professional engineer.
Okay, I'm probably an oddball because I have my own patents and stuff I develop and do technology, but I don't have a accreditation from a university or college as an engineer. Would that be something that would look at, or something that would be disqualified?
I think under the state law, you have to have your professional engineer's certification.
Or at least a degree.
A degree, yeah.
Engineering.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because my technology is used almost all over the world that I developed. But anyway, that's a different story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we need to get one, at least, well, we need 4 people. Do we need, how many from Ag and business?
We need one more from industry Ag.
I'll do that other seat for industry and Ag. So now we're down to 3.
We need environmental.
We need environmental.
I have a silly question. Can an alternate do it that may not be present currently?
Kelly, excuse me, what was your question?
My question was if an alternate can do it, someone who might not currently be here at the meeting, but that.
Could you line them up like right now? On the
well, I have a few on speed dial, but I got to know the answer to that first. I don't know if an alternate can.
Is council here today? Do you know, Ryan? If we need to have her involved in any of this clarification?
I don't believe she knows the answers to these questions either. But these are great questions. And
environmental, I'll do it.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Although I would say technically, if you're an alternate, you are a member of the CAC.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're down to 2, and we need one more, 2 cities. We need 2 cities, right?
Yeah.
2 cities. 2 cities.
I'm going to do what Casey did.
So it would basically be the 6 phone calls with the applicant, and then also just the subcommittee. And
do the applicants have to take phone calls from each of us?
yes.
Yeah, poor applicants. Yeah, that's a lot of time on the applicant's part.
So they do fill out applications, and those will also be provided to you, and it includes, I think, a majority of the information. But if there's any follow-up questions and
okay.
Any?
Chairman?
Yes.
This is Ben Cantu from the north.
Yes.
Would I qualify as a city?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll volunteer.
All right. So now we're one more city.
Will I qualify for a city?
Yeah, you would.
This is Orchel from the south. I'm a mayor pro tem of the city of Taft. Would that work?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll volunteer.
If not, we'll amend the laws.
All right. Thank you very much. And we will provide answers to the questions that the CAC members also
And
had.
we could do things by phone as much as we can.
Absolutely.
And then that'll save everybody a lot of time and effort. And if we coordinate with the staff, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so item.
You'll just email everything, right?
Everything will be emailed. Katrina will send out all the information and coordinate. Thank you so much.
Mr. Clark, go ahead.
I don't know, there's a little bit of confusion here, but I mean, I think everybody understands that we're talking about a CAC subcommittee, not hearing board members. So I think there is a little confusion over there. So the subcommittee, it's an important job to appoint or recommend an appointment for the hearing board. The hearing board has a lot to do with all industries' ability to, in some cases, to stay in business. So it's not one of those things where you just show up, because there's a lot of folks that are applying for a variance that they can't comply with actually the rule or regulation as presented because of various reasons. So I think some folks are thinking they're going to be the hearing board appointee. I'm not quite sure that everybody understands that the first part of this is a CA subcommittee to interview and appoint or recommend approval of hearing board members. There's a lot of knotheads who will want to apply for this too. I'm not talking about the people here that just applied. I think we're on good grounds here. Like if the city gentleman wants to do that, that's fine. But there are some knotheads that I don't want to see on a hearing board that are anti-industry, period. And if you get on as you work through this process, you're going to get some folks that apply maybe that it would be best for you to contact some of the people that deal with these people all the time. So it's not just one phone call, believe me. If you're going to do the job, you got to do it right. So that's why I've done this 7 different times over the years, and it becomes a little bit of a headache, and it's time consuming. So I'm just throwing that out to make sure everybody understands what we're doing here.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Williams.
So, Mr. Clark, this is Derek Williams up north. Since you've done it 7 times, and you might know who the knotheads are, and I don't. No, I mean, I was just willing to yield my seat to Mr. Clark if he would rather do the take that position.
I'm 80 years old. I'm not yielding to anything. But I'm just giving I'm giving some advice. If I need to do it, I'll step in and do it. But my problem is that as you go through this process, you represent a certain amount of your community. And your community knows who these people are that are continually before the Board of Supervisors, City Council, or whatever, and they have an agenda. And it's not an agenda to keep people in business, it's an agenda to keep people from being in business. That's what I'm saying. That's how important a hearing board is. Now, the hearing board, it could be a bolt or a nut or an engine or whatever that you have to decide if you're going to give this kid or lady a variance. And that's what it's all about. That. So it's a very important committee. In fact, it's probably more important than the committee we're sitting on, to tell you the truth. So, but you can yield me anything you want and I'll help you out. But you got to make more than one phone call. Oh yeah, it sounds good to me, or she sounds good to me. That's not the way it works. You got to do a little bit of digging to see who you're putting on the board or recommending. So that's my 2 cents. I yield back to you.
Thank you, Les, very much. I think it's important. And I think, Ryan, maybe take a few seconds and line out the hearing board and then what the advisory committee is to do for its recommendation to the board, and then the board makes the final decision. I think that will help everybody, but I think everybody's very clear, they should be, that this is only the advisory to select. And anybody that applies, we're going to go through a process and interview. So if you could go ahead, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as both Manuel and Les shared with the committee, what we're talking about today is the formation of a subcommittee, and they review the applications that have been submitted by people interested in participating on the district's hearing boards. Through that process, applications are provided where people had to answer a series of questions about why they're interested in participating, what their qualifications are. And then there's a set of interview questions that are provided by the district for you to ask, in addition to any other questions that a committee member may have. Through that process, you would get back together with the subcommittee, discuss the interviews that you had. You would provide recommendations to the entirety of the community advisory committee, for consideration at the, hopefully the next CAC meeting. Then the chair of the committee would bring forth those recommendations to the entirety of the district's governing board for consideration for appointment to the district's hearing board. As Les discussed, the hearing board is an extremely important body. That's why it's been established under state law that air districts have to have this body. And they, Les talked about variances. And so basically when facilities are in situations where there's, usually circumstances out of their control and they're not going to be complying with rules and regulations, they would bring forth a petition to the hearing board for consideration, explaining their circumstances. And the hearing board ultimately makes a decision on whether or not to grant that variance and allow them to continue to operate without receiving notices of violations and things like that.
Mr. Williams?
I had a question for you, and I don't know how sensitive this is, but are we ultimately, the committee members, the ones responsible for vetting these applicants?
That's exactly what you're doing. Yes.
Exactly what
So how would we know, unless you guys do some back checking, how do we know that we don't have a convicted felon applying for the position? I know it's not illegal to ask a person if they're a convicted felon. That is legal to ask. It's not a protected class.
I have not seen that as a disqualifying. It doesn't in state law. It doesn't list that as a disqualifying.
I think it would probably depend on, in real estate, if you've been convicted of a felony that has to do with misuse of public funds or misuse of funds or trust fund violations, that will keep you from getting a license. So there are situations where, depending on what the conviction was for, it could be a disqualifier, I would think. So I don't know. It's just something to throw out there and let the legal beagle back there go, oh my God, why do you bring that up? But anyway, I'd just be curious.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Okay, we've done the CAC members. Is there any other comments from CAC before I go to the public on this item? Okay, let's go to the public in the north. Any comment?
No public comment in the north.
Great, thank you. Let's bring it to the south.
No public comment in the south.
Great, thank you. Let's bring it back here to the central. Any public comment? We're good?
No indication of any online. Thank you.
Okay, great. Again, I want to thank all of you that volunteered to be a part of this group. It's very, very important, as what Mr. Clark stated, and even Ryan. And again, thank you all. Okay, let's go to item number 10. Okay, thank you. Mr. Tom Jordan, welcome back, and you look great, young man. And
thank you. It's good to be back.
Another 50,000 miles to go, okay?
Well, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the CAC. I'm Tom Jordan. I'm the Senior Policy Advisor at the district. So I'm going to just give a brief update of items of interest to the district in the state budget process and kind of how that process went, and then a couple of pieces of legislation that the district's been actively involved in. So first off, is regards to the budget. It was kind of a whiplash situation in Sacramento this year. Last year, the state had a $100 billion surplus. They were funding a lot of programs. We did very well in that process. go forward 1 year, and we went from $100 billion surplus to, depending on who you talk to, a 20 to 30 some odd $billion deficit. And so funding was much harder to come by. The district weighed in early and often through the budget process. The CAC was good enough to actually write a letter at one point on some items of interest. Some of our priorities were AB 617, which the district implements in a number of communities here in the Valley. There's both funding for the district's activities as well as funding to get emission reductions in communities throughout the Valley. In the past, the way that's broken down, it was about $250 million to get emission reduction statewide and about $50 million statewide for implementation. Of the $250 million, the district gets somewhere in the range of about 32% of those funds. So it's an important funding source for us here in the Valley. So we advocated for that program. The good news is throughout the process, there was various levels of funding for AB 617. The final outcome was a total of $300 million. And that broke out to $234 million for incentives, $60 million statewide for implementation, which would be for the air districts that are actually doing the programs throughout the state. And then a smaller amount of money, about $6 million for community groups to help fund their activities. So we were successful in that arena, as with others throughout the state, in making sure that was funded. Another big priority of ours is the farmer program. The farmer program is funding to reduce emissions from agricultural equipment. In the past, that's ranged everywhere from $150 million. It's gone up and down depending on the years. It's been as high as, it was up in the $200 million range for a while. The Valley has traditionally gotten about 80% of that funding source in the state. And so this is also an extremely important program for us. In the governor's initial proposed budget this year, it was zeroed out. There was no funding for farmer. So through the whole process, the air district, ag stakeholders, others fought very hard. And it was not until very late in the process that we actually got funding put back in. At one point, it was proposed at $100 million. The final number ended up being $75 million. So while it wasn't everything we asked for, I think it's important, first of all, that it did receive funding. So it's not a line item that's gone away. And second, we were able to push it up quite substantially from where it was originally. And again, the Valley should get a significant portion of that funding. Another program that's really important here in the Valley, especially because of our demographics, is the Clean Cars for All program. We have a lot of low-income folks in the Valley that have a hard time maintaining their vehicle, getting it registered. They don't participate as much in the new car purchase market. So programs like the Clean Vehicle Rebate Program that funds electric vehicles, the Valley has always lagged the more wealthy parts of the state. So Clean Cars for All is a program that targets those lower income consumers and tries to get them some funding for advanced technology vehicles. The Air District has traditionally added some of our own funding to do a vehicle repair program in conjunction with that. It's been hugely successful here in the Valley. It has received a fair amount of funding in the last few years. This year, it ended up with $80 million statewide. But at the very last minute, there was a wording change that said that it was for a statewide program, which CARB does offer a statewide program. So we're currently in the process of working with CARB and others to clarify on whether that can go for the regional programs or whether it's only for the statewide program. But again, this is a really important program here in the Valley, and we fought hard for it. Additionally, a lot of people don't think of the Valley for this, but there's funding for drayage trucks at ports. So there's $80 million in the budget to help replace older drayage trucks with lower emission models. The Valley being a farm to market region, we actually do send a lot of trucks to the ports, and they can participate in that funding. Some of it's for electric vehicles, which won't work very well for getting things from the Valley to the ports, but again, that's another important funding source. I want to thank the CAC. The CAC did write a letter during the process. That's very important. It's pretty powerful when you can deliver a letter that says cities, industry, and environmental groups all support something in the Valley. People like to see that broad cross-section. And so we do appreciate that effort from this group, and we think that was very helpful in the process. With that, we're getting ready for next budget year. There was one major program that we looked for funding that we were unsuccessful for, and that was the Alternatives to Ag Burning program. We had received a large chunk of money that was for a couple of years, and we're anticipating that this budget year that program's going to run out of money. We were unable to get funding for that, but we're going to keep trying into next budget year. We're also looking at opportunities at the federal level with Farm Bill and other things like that. But that was we'd received $180 million for a multi-year program, and we want to see that continue. It's been hugely successful. The ag community has been great in taking advantage of that and looking to move beyond burning and look at chipping and reincorporation and other alternatives to burning. So that's an important program. With that, I wanted to move on to the legislative piece. We're kind of we're in the second half of the first year of a 2-year legislative session, and so the way things work in Sacramento is bills are introduced either in the Assembly or the Senate. They go through their House of Origin, and then if they make it through that, they switch houses, and then they do the same process through the second house. So we've finished the first house. We're in the second house. Bills have gone through what they call their policy committees. So they've gone through the committees that look at the specific policy area. And as we go, some make it, some don't. And right now where we're at is so the Senate bills are in the Assembly bills are in the Senate, and we're going to what's called the appropriations hearing. And so in August, there will be a hearing. Any bill that goes beyond a minimal amount of cost goes to what they call as a suspense file, and they'll have one hearing at the same time in the Assembly and the Senate, and they go through hundreds of bills and decide which bills with cost live and which bills with cost die. And so it's a huge day in the legislature. We're focusing on that process right now, and that hearing will likely be at the end of August, and then the bills will go to the floors of the respective houses, and it'll be a mad dash to the end of the legislative session, which will be in September. There's a couple of bills that were of particular interest to the Air District that we opposed. One was AB 650, which would have added a number of governor appointees to our board. Our board has taken the position. We have 2 members that the governor appoints, and those have been valuable members of our board. But by and large, we're a local air district comprised of local elected officials, and we think that should be the focus. This bill would have changed that quite dramatically. It went to its first policy committee and actually died for the lack of a second in the local government committee. So that was a big success. There were a lot of people involved in that effort, and we appreciate that involvement. So that bill, for now, for this session, is a non-issue, and we'll see what happens in future years. The second bill was AB 985, which deals with our emission reduction credit program. This bill has gone through a variety of amendments through the process, but it initially targeted basically invalidating a number of our emission reduction credits. So when someone permits a new facility, they have to surrender emission reduction credits, and this would have made that process very difficult, would have made it almost impossible for a new business in the Valley to expand or to locate, or an existing business to expand. So we oppose the bill, as have a lot of stakeholders here in the Valley. That bill has moved through the process. It is in the second house in the Senate. It got through its policy committee. It was amended pretty substantially, but we still have major concerns with that bill and are still opposed to it. It requires that the ARB go through and evaluate every emission reduction credit in the Valley. ARB a few years ago did a sampling of our credits and did an audit, and we did learn some things from that, but we've taken that information and made the changes. So we think this is a duplicative effort, and we don't think we're going to learn anything from it. It's very expensive. ARB estimates they'll have to hire at least 20 new staff members to undergo that audit with millions of dollars in cost. There'll be similar cost here at the district, and we don't think it's going to provide new emission reductions or new information that we think will be helpful. That bill is in the Appropriations Committee. It'll be heard sometime this month, and then will likely go to that suspense file and be heard along with all the other bills. So a number of people in the Valley are weighing in on that process. There's a whole bunch of other bills that we're monitoring, and if passed as prologue, there's things that are going to come up in the next month that you aren't aware of, that just kind of pop up overnight, and so we're watching that process, and we'll keep an eye on that. And so with that, I'll open it up to any questions you all have or any comments, and go from there.
Yes, this is David Pippin from the North. It's encouraging to hear about all the funding.
We can't hear you. Turn on your mic. Turn on your mic. Go for it.
Thank you for your help. Dave Pippin from the North. Encouraging to hear about all the monies made available through the budget process. I personally am aware of farm tractor replacement funding grants that were requested over 13 months ago and still not responded to, either positive or negatively. Are we lacking for staff? Are we lacking for dollars? Or are we lacking for both in order to process these applications?
So the primary reason why it takes so long for an application is lacking in money. So we have way more applications than we have funding, and our staff can continue to work through those. And then as we get new money, they work down the list. So yeah, I mean, it's a great program. It's been wildly successful. It's been, ag has been able to do through a voluntary program way more than what could have done through a regulatory program. But the biggest issue is, as soon as we get money, we can spend it. And that's part of the story we tell up in Sacramento. It's also the story we tell in the Farm Bill back in DC, because we have gotten funding through NRCS to help replace equipment here in the Valley as well. But that's the primary issue.
Okay, thank you for the response. I guess that brings up a new question. So when we have additional funding, as you mentioned just a little while ago in your presentation, do you keep on moving on the dated requests, or do you move to new applicants for grants?
So I mean, basically, I think we keep moving through as we've received them. But let me make sure.
Can we get Todd or Aaron Taringo here, and we'll come to that. We'll come to that question back. We'll come back to you as soon as we get Aaron, or if somebody here from the staff can respond.
In fact, we can look up if you want to send that. So we can look up and see where his application is.
Yeah, so I was able to get an answer, and it's as I said, they keep working through as they were received, and also if someone is in the queue and has a question of where they're at, they can reach out to our staff and they can let them know kind of, with the funding we've gotten and how far down the queue they are.
Fine, thank you for your response.
Great, thank you. Go ahead in the north.
Chairman?
Yes, please. On the south, north. Can't hear.
Okay, I'm just Richard O'Brien. I'm off camera. On AB 985 on the ERCs, does the district take care of their own ERC audits? I know we did that a while ago. I don't know how often we do it, but I thought we would do them ourselves since we grant.
Yes, so the district goes through a very extensive process before ERCs are given anybody. They're also reviewed when they're used, but it's not just the district. When an ERC is granted, it's actually sent to ARB and EPA. They have an opportunity to comment. When ERCs are used, same process happens. ARB and EPA get to see what the ERCs and can comment on that at that point as well. So there's a substantial process that happens. And then, as I mentioned, it actually happened as part of one of our PM 2.5 plans. ARB board directed their staff to do an additional sampling and audit of our ERC program. And they've gone through that process, and we've taken the information that they gleaned and any issues they had with our program. And we actually went to our board this past spring and modified our regulations to make it consistent to any findings that ARB had. So that work's been done actually a couple of times, and that's part of the reason why we're opposed to this bill and this effort.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
in the north?
Ben Cantu from the north.
Go ahead, please.
I have a question. I'm not familiar with the program, but are we actually replacing an entire tractor?
So yes, basically in general, what we're doing is we have older tractors, maybe that are unregulated at tier 0 or partially regulated at tier 1, and they're replacing those with the newer models. In some cases, if it's a relatively new model, we might do a trade down to another farmer to replace an older piece of equipment. But in general, that's the case. We're destroying the old tractor and replacing it with a new tractor that's substantially cleaner.
When you say destroying, are you taking it apart, destroying it, composing it, or what? Go ahead.
Yes, it's taken to a scrapyard, cut in half, and turned into scrap metal.
Has anybody tried rebuilding the engine to make it even more,
no.
or replace it with a new engine?
No, I will step in here only because we've had several demonstration projects at the Bruno's Scrap Iron. Some of the main, like Ana Cavallero, EPA administrator, some of our board members, Dr. Pacheco Warner, sit in this machine and literally cuts the tractor in half, including the engine. So nobody can weld up. They used to put a big hole on the side of the block. I won't say what air district, not San Joaquin Valley, but another air district in 2008 or 9 decided to weld up the hole on the block. We found out about that, and of course we cleaned that up. Not our district. Our district, that tractor, once it's crushed, cut in half, there is nothing left of it other than to go to a place and melt it down at 3,200 degrees, whatever it is to melt steel. But we do have the most solid program in destroying the engine, and it doesn't go to another country. It doesn't go to another state. It is literally destroyed. And we've had several of those, and there's some staff even at this air district that have had the opportunity. Yes, I have one here that's monitoring the voice levels who actually cut a tractor in half. So I got to give this district and its staff the greatest thank you, because they literally, that is the most greatest question asked. Did somebody take the engine out and just take the frame in? And we've had people do that, and the district says, take it back home. You aren't getting anything. You put that tractor back together and then we'll talk. We'll talk. So it is most...
I guess what I'm having a difficult time with there is the component of the tractor that's creating the pollution is the engine, not the entire tractor. And it seems that it's relatively expensive to replace an entire tractor and far less expensive to replace the engine with an engine that conforms. I understand we can destroy anything pretty easy, but how about recycling some?
There's been a tremendous amount with the new engines of today, the tier 1s, tier 2s, tier 3s. Several manufacturers, the engine cannot fit into the existing frame of the tractor at all. There are some big, huge, heavy equipment where the cost of replacing, you can put a tier 3 engine in place of a tier 0 on some big equipment. But in 99% of the times, the engine cannot be replaced in the same frame because of the structure, because of the emissions, the filters, the air cleaners, the DEF that applies to some of the tractors. So yes, it is expensive, and that's why Farmer has been a great program through Carl Moyer and NRCS. And I think for us, we get credit for this. And to get credit for this, EPA has some very stringent rules, and so does ARB. And that means the destruction of the tractor. If an engine cannot be replaced into the existing frame, it is destroyed. That question's always asked. There's no doubt the district has done engine replacements where the engine can fit in the same area of the old engine. But today's newer engines, tiers 2s and 3s, and even the tier 4 finals, are absolutely totally different in the frame structure. So Caterpillar, John Deere, Heston, New Holland Ford, any of those, it has to be destroyed if it's a tier 1 or tier 2. In most cases, those are destroyed. And tier 0s has been a tremendous success in cutting every tier 0 up.
Okay. Thank you for that response. I just hope the machinery that's destroying the tractor is also conforming.
Oh, it certainly is. That's a very good question, and it is. If not, the Air District would have something to say about that. But no, but thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
From Bakersfield. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Does this include specialized harvesting equipment? Where I'll give you an example. The machines cost around $750,000 to $1 million for a harvester. That does say, if I'm referring to carrots, Greenway, Bullhouse, a lot of other companies use them. I manufacture some of them. And we had an instance where we had an engine that wasn't in compliance, but we had a tier 3 in there, but it went out. It blew a hole. It had the new engine put in there, but it was like several years old, and the engine threw a piston through it. So they couldn't get a next tier up. The engine would not fit in that machine at all, period, without making it inoperable for transportation. It could be too wide and all other issues. So we got a variance. They gave us we put the same engine back in. It had to come from out of state for the variance to come in California, and it worked. And it worked that way. Would that be still the same situation, or is it going to be different?
So I'd have to check of your specific piece of equipment, but I know we have funded some of those larger, more specialized pieces of equipment. But again, as Manuel mentioned, you have to, the way the program works, it's you retire an old piece of equipment and you get funding for a new piece of equipment.
Okay.
So we could definitely, we'd definitely be happy to talk to you about any specific situations and let you know how it works for that.
I would,
that piece of equipment.
Because I can talk to the 3 major companies here in California about it. Because I know the machines were close to $1 million, $750,000 thereabouts, and the engine to replace it's over $100,000 just for the engine. And my experience with those, we have probably, even our tractors and stuff, we probably have maybe close to 30 plus engines put in our tractors and harvesters, plus our pumps for booster pumps and stuff put in there and all that. And we find out that in our experience, I'm not saying that this is my own personal experience and opinion, that they're not quite as good as the older model motors and stuff, as far as we notice a little drop on certain things. But all unsaid, and we have to be in compliance, I don't have no problem with it. But will they continue working with the farmers and stuff, and getting, if that's a variance, because that piece of equipment is in order, it's not like a tractor or anything, but a specialized machinery. They can get a variance on motors in order to keep an operation. If it doesn't cost, $40,000-$50,000 to make the change for it to fit and be legal on the highways and stuff for transportation and hauling. That's a question I have. Thank you.
What I'll do is I'll have Aaron Taringa or Todd DeYoung give you a call, and if we can get the board so that way they can communicate on the issues of discussion, I think that would be fair, because those gentlemen do quite a bit of this type of alterations and changes. Any other questions of CAC members in the north? And then I'm going to go back to the south. Any other CAC members in the south, the north? Okay, let's go to the south. Any CAC, Mr. Clark?
Hey, Tom, was the 985, is that your ambulance bill?
It is, yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Any other CAC members in the south? Okay, let's bring it here to the north, to the central. Excuse me. Any comments? Okay, let's open it to the public in the north. Public comments on Tom's items under the state legislation and budget.
No public comment in the north.
Great, thank you. Let's go to the south.
No public comment in the south.
Great, thank you. Let's bring it back here to the central.
No indication of any online or in-person comments at this time.
Okay, great, thank you. Tom, thank you very, very much. And again, thank the staff and everybody for all the hard work. And it's great to see you mobilizing around. Thank you. Okay, let's go to item number 11, the update on the Drive Clean and San Joaquin Valley Repair and Replacement Program. Brian, you've got the floor, young man.
All right, good morning. My name is Brian Dodds. I'm a program manager in our Grants and Incentives Department. It's my pleasure to be here with you all this morning. I'm going to provide an update on the implementation of our vehicle repair and replacement programs for you. As you are well aware, reducing mobile source emissions is a key strategy of the district to meet federal and air quality standards. The district has no regulatory authority over mobile sources of emissions, so our voluntary incentive programs play a key role in reducing these emissions in order to reach our air quality attainment goals. Our Valley low-income and priority population residents are most impacted by older vehicles with higher emissions and fuel costs. So the district's Drive Clean and the San Joaquin program provides Valley residents with options for reducing emissions from passenger vehicles, with a particular focus on low-income and disadvantaged communities throughout the Valley. The district's vehicle repair program provides Valley residents with options for reducing emissions from their vehicles with funding for smog-related repairs. This program is implemented with our program partner, Valley Cleaner Now, and traditionally the program has been implemented through weekend events held throughout the Valley, where vehicles are screened to determine the likelihood of failing a smog test. Owners of high-emitting vehicles that fail this screening are provided vouchers for up to $850 in emission-related repairs, and these vouchers can be redeemed at participating STAR-certified smog shops and cover the cost of smog test, diagnostic time, and emission-related repairs. In addition, vehicles that have lapsed registration, which are often due to their inability to pass a smog test, are able to complete the registration process once the vehicle is repaired and a smog test is passed. Excuse me. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic several years ago, the district and Valley CAN worked quickly to develop a new program model, which allowed Valley residents the opportunity to contact Valley CAN directly. Events at the time obviously were canceled. And so we've been implementing this program model as well for the last several years. Weekend events resumed about 2 years ago in small rural communities throughout the Valley. However, our outreach of efforts continue through disadvantaged communities in the Valley. Over the last year, the events resulted in over 2,600 vehicle repairs, and the direct participation process resulted in over 14,000 vehicle repairs. The weekend events also continue to provide an excellent opportunity to engage residents on our other programs that may be available, including vehicle replacement, residential lawn and garden equipment, and our burn cleaner or fire stove, fireplace reduction program as well. This program has been recognized through the years for our ability to effectively connect with residents in need while also ensuring emission reductions from the program. The UCLA Luskin Center for Innovation released a report applauding the district's program implementation, including the environmental and economic benefits of the program. In addition, a May 2021 report commended the district's efforts in reaching disadvantaged communities in our implementation of the vehicle replacement program. More recently, the California's fourth climate change assessment report also recognized the vehicle repair program and stated that the vehicle emissions in the San Joaquin Valley are decreasing and that the program is a model of balancing efficiency and equity. So super proud of the recognition that we received for this program. If you haven't been to an event, it's just some pictures of kind of the response that we see generally. 400 to 500 participants come to a weekend event. There's an orderly process to get them all tested and screened, and then they're on their way. So the board in June, with the approval of the district budget, that included $12 million for the implementation of the vehicle repair program. That includes the cost of program administration for our program partner, as well as related expenses and the event, as well as the emission-related repairs associated for the vehicles that go through the program. We are holding 16 events throughout the valley. We've already held our first one in Stockton just a couple weeks ago. There's an event this weekend in Madera. So 16 weekend events throughout the valley in the next fiscal year. And we anticipate repairing approximately 19,000 vehicles in the next fiscal year through this program. Moving on to our vehicle replacement program that was kind of mentioned a couple times earlier today. In 2014, the board approved a very groundbreaking, innovative pilot program to replace high-emitting vehicles that was implemented through our vehicle repair program. And this pilot program ultimately served as a model for what has become the state's Clean Cars for All program. Since 2015, we've received over $57 million in state funding to operate our vehicle replacement program. These incentives historically have ranged from $2,500 to $9,500 and depend on the income level of the participant, whether or not they live in a disadvantaged community, and the type of vehicle that is being purchased. So the highest incentives go to low-income residents in disadvantaged communities that are either purchasing plug-in hybrid vehicles or battery electric vehicles. We've replaced over 4,600 high-polluting vehicles to date through the program, with new vehicles primarily being electric, plug-in hybrid, and the traditional hybrid, gas-powered hybrid vehicles. In September of 2021, our board approved changes to the program to increase participation and increase eligibility by moving the model year eligibility of vehicles to 2006 and older vehicles, while also removing a requirement to have an emissions failure. So previously it was limited to 1999 model years with an emissions failure. We changed that a couple years ago, and that resulted in a significant program growth and demand by Valley residents. So over the previous fiscal year, we replaced about 750 vehicles through the program, and just some pictures on this slide showing the new vehicle with their owners, and there's a lot of pride in the ability to get those high polluting vehicles off the road with these newer, cleaner vehicles. So as was mentioned earlier, our board did accept $30.4 million from CARB in additional grants to continue operating this program. This funding includes money for vehicle purchases as well as program administration costs. We anticipate that this will support over 2,000 vehicle replacements. It all just depends on the makeup of the incentives that we have with those funds to determine kind of how many will ultimately be replaced, but it will be over 2,000. And our program partnership with Valley CAN continues in this program. They are responsible for a lot of the program management and oversight, outreach, applicant assistance, coordinating vehicle purchases with the dealership and the consumer, and reporting program information back to the district. So these new grants will help support existing applications that we have in queue, as well as new applications which we anticipate accepting for this program starting again later this summer. These recent grants also included a couple of program updates. Just to highlight some of those, it includes funding for up to $12,000 now for battery electric vehicles, which was previously $9,500. We're expanding to non-disadvantaged communities throughout the valley. Previously, the program was really kind of limited to just disadvantaged communities. There are additional requirements for surveys and data collection, and a requirement to remove traditional gas-powered vehicles as of the end of next year. Plug-in hybrid vehicles will still continue to be eligible, but it's removing those gas hybrid vehicles. And there is an increased allowance for program administration costs due to some of these increased requirements that they've added onto the program. So we're currently working with CARB to ensure an effective transition to newly approved program incentive levels and requirements, and that there will be opportunities for additional program funding in the next fiscal year through the state budget and CARB funding plan process. So Tom had mentioned that the current fiscal year's budget, or what was recently approved by the state legislature, limited to statewide funding. We are hoping in this next fiscal year to be able to advocate for additional funding directly for the programs, district programs, that is. So just a brief kind of discussion about program outreach for our repair and replacement programs. We really utilize a grassroots, community-driven approach to reaching low-income and disadvantaged community residents throughout the valley. We've been very successful in that approach. One of the things that we've done is hold weeknight community-based events, which are located at a local business or public space, and are a great opportunity to engage community members about the program. In addition, we've used partnerships with community-based organizations to communicate program information through existing networks and social media, to conduct localized outreach to connect with residents. This approach has led to really a strong level of participation in the program, and throughout the valley's disadvantaged communities. We've had more than 98% of the valley's disadvantaged communities have participated in these repair and replacement programs. So this type of outreach has really been effective in trying to reach the target audience for these programs. That'll conclude my presentation, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you very much, Brian, appreciate that. Let's open it up to the north, CAC. Any comments of Brian Dodd? Hearing none, let's go to the south.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
From Bakersfield. I have a question on somebody has an old car that's in decent, looks nice, not beat up and looks like junk. But do they have get a voucher to put a new engine in, or, exchange engine in their vehicle, or to get in compliance with the smog? Some of them have bad valves and rings and pistons and all that stuff, oil blow by. Is that a possibility, or just only as a tune-up, which probably wouldn't take care of that issue?
Greg, we don't have incentive programs currently to replace engines and vehicles. Our repair program is designed to repair the emissions-related issues that a car might be having if it's not able to pass smog.
Okay, because my personal experience is on personal vehicle, I have a 2005 Avalanche, and at the time it cost me $54,000 for it. And at 240,000 miles, I put a new engine in it at a cost of about $4,000, out the door, and 3-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Sometimes it'd be cheaper to maybe offer a program for people who are disadvantaged or whatever to keep their vehicles on the road without having and have clean air, clean emission, all that stuff for at least another 100,000 plus miles on there. That's a suggestion on that. Because $850, even a voucher for $850 or $1,000 to a new engine would help somebody that would want to keep their vehicle. Because nowadays that vehicle would cost close to 90 to 100,000 now to buy a new one. So I chose to replace that one because as being retired a little bit, I try to watch my pockets, kept that car longer. Anyway, it's just a statement, I guess you want to call it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, any CAC members in the north comment before I go to the south?
Hello, Brian. I noticed that you're having 16 weekends for these events, and you have 2 scheduled for Merced. How do I get that information to the people of Merced? What do they have to do to attend this event? Does it cost anything? Do you have a flyers in detail of what we can expect to see?
Absolutely. So the weekend events are absolutely free to attend. They're generally from about 8 to noon on a Saturday. We have flyers available a month or 2 out from each event. I can check with Katrina if we have flyers for those events now. We can get that to you. If it's something that we'll have them soon, we can also follow up with you and get those to you. So yeah, they're great opportunities for the community to come out and participate in the event.
Thank you. That would be great because I have to make a report to the directors for Merced County, and if I have some of these flyers, I can pass them out.
Yep, happy to get those to you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian, for doing that. Okay, let's go to the south. Any comment by CAC members of Brian on this presentation?
John Sanders.
Go ahead, please.
I have so I'm going to give kudos to the program that we just spoke about because the smog shop had to do that to my old Lexus, 2005 Lexus, and 1990 Ford Bronco over the last 4 years. They had to do a lot. The smog shop was able to go get the grant money, and instead of paying $2,000, we paid about $500. So that's a good program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, any other South CAC members? Okay, let's bring it here to the Central.
I just have a couple of questions,
Please.
Brian. On the upcoming events you're having on the list and I'm specifically talking about in the Tulare County area. On October 14th, it says Ag Center, Visalia Adult School. Those appear to be 2 different sites. Is that intended to be one site? And if so, where?
So I believe that was a placeholder depending on availability. We'll check and get the confirmation on that and send that over to you.
So it's either going to be at the International Agri Center or the adult school in Visalia. Is that correct?
So yes, traditionally we've had them at the Ag Center. Okay. Really just depends on availability and what's going on that weekend.
And then later on March 23rd of next year, under the city column, it indicates Tulare.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for catching that.
And then it says Porterville Fairgrounds. That's a long ways to travel for people in the city of Tulare.
I'll get that updated as well. There's certainly a typo there.
Okay. Is it a typo? Should it be the Tulare Fairgrounds in the city of Tulare or the city of Porterville for the Porterville Fairgrounds?
I believe it might be the Porterville location. But again, we'll double check that and I'll have Katrina send out a fully updated schedule to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
Are these specific residents specific to the city? So like if you're a resident or
no.
Okay.
Anybody can attend at any location.
Okay.
Typically, like if we have a event in Fresno, there'll be smog shops participating in that event that are, kind of surrounding the Fresno general area. So if somebody showed up from Bakersfield, we'd have to kind of get them to the right people. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be just Fresno residents at a Fresno event. Oftentimes we have participants from all over that come to these events.
Cities.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other, again, I have a question, Brian. When you guys advertise these, and maybe Heather may have the answer, do you go on the new electronic billboards to where they show a different picture each couple of seconds as you're driving so you don't crash into anybody? And it's easy to crash because you're focused on something on that airboard and you forget that there's a red light in front of you. That didn't happen to me, but you could hear the brakes. Is that being done when we do these in various areas so that if we go down Blackstone, we got one of those electric boards over on Shaw and Blackstone. I think there's one of those big billboards, but they're the electronic ones, not the ones where you post a big old picture and you have to glue it and all that. Do we do those advertisements with these schedules so people know?
We haven't yet because we've tried to target and be a little bit more focused with the outreach activities so that we're reaching kind of the low-income disadvantaged community residents that we're intending to reach for this program. So it's a little bit more focused outreach, I suppose, than a billboard on Sean Blackstone might be.
Well, there's different ones. They're
Yeah.
all over. Maybe Ryan and some of the members, please indulge with me on this term. Disadvantaged, they're not disadvantaged people. They are underserved people. They're not socially disadvantaged, as USDA called African Americans socially disadvantaged. And we got that changed to now say underserved. And they're not socially disadvantaged, but underserved, not getting the needs of whatever that may be, okay? So sometimes I think people use the wrong terms to describe human beings, people, and they may not be, in the African American situation, it was socially, and then that word is inappropriate, totally. They're not socially disadvantaged. They're underserved because they may not have all of the wherewithals of the tools and necessary contacts or places to go or whatever, okay? So sometimes when I see that word, disadvantage, I think underserved communities, but electronic billboards are not just in Fresno, Blackstone. There is one in Manning. There's one in, I believe, Sanger. And we have small communities. We have 63 small cities in the entire San Joaquin Valley that are part of this air district. And so in doing that is, have we looked outside maybe and looking at Heather, because this is the famous Jamie Holt program of the car repair, replacement, tune-up car. So I consider it the Jamie Holt program. But we've gone a long ways. And I noticed that today, a lot of the information, just like what was caught here, we get it out there fast enough. And we look at other media processes. We go to Univision. Univision has a bunch of has a thing called novellas. We all know what novellas are, and most of it, they are the soapbox of today's thing, like Dynasty and Falcon Crest. And
now you're going way back there. There's only a few of us that remember that.
Right. So I appreciate that the technology, Brian, that looking at different ways to get information out is fast, but
yeah, thanks, and thanks, Manuel. I do appreciate your comments about how we describe residents and communities, and no way intended to reflect, poorly on anybody. I think you make an excellent point about how we describe our residents and our communities here.
Yeah, correct. They're humans, and no matter what, they're underserved because of how the legislature or how whatever, and the mayors and various councils of different cities do everything they can. So I just would like for us to be a little bit more on how we use a better word.
Yeah, just absolutely. A little bit of background on that. The reason why we use that So there was a Senate bill years ago where it determined where they directed funds through the California Climate Investments. So it was at that direction that the funds be sent to disadvantaged communities, and so there are maps and things developed to identify those. And so we're using it in the scientific terms. We understand that there's better terms to describe the people that these funds are benefiting through these programs.
Right. The people in Sacramento don't have any feelings about that. It's all about their own position. Excuse my own commentary. They don't know what real life is. We can tell by there are various types of legislative bills that have gone through this. And I will take a moment to hear a week ago that everybody came out in a rage when human trafficking was not considered a felony conviction of a kid, a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. And those assembly folks sat there and the Senate voted 100% to make it a felony conviction. And then the assembly of the Safety Rules Committee voted it down, saying that no, it's not a felony issue at all. Wait a minute. Everybody came out in arms, including agriculture. And I mean, we weighed in big time. So sometimes those people in Sacramento, and this is not San Joaquin Valley CAC taking this position, it's me, Manuel Cunha, okay? That those people up there don't have any feelings in most cases as an individual speaking, okay? All right, I will stop.
And you meant to say some of those people,
yes.
Not to all of those people.
No, yes, that's 6 especially.
Yeah.
That's 6 I have no feeling for. Okay. Please go for it.
Just clarification on the tune-up sites. Mainly they're just so I have that in my mind. They're mainly diagnostic. Is that correct? And then the vouchers are given for repair, or are you actually doing repair on the site on the weekend programs?
Correct. The events are to test the vehicles and see if they have high emissions. If they do, they're provided vouchers for the participating smog shops. Then they make appointments to actually have the repairs completed at a later time at the smog shops.
It appeared to be the case during the presentation itself, but I wanted to make sure there was a clarification in my mind as to how these are proceeding.
Yep, that's correct.
Whether they're in Porterville or Tulare, wherever.
Yeah.
Again, tremendous program, Ryan and Brian, you guys, and all the staff. I think it's one of the most greatest things you've ever pulled out there, and deserve to be given a lot of credit for what you guys have done, or gals have done. So let's go to the public. In the north, any public comment of this item on number 11?
No public comment in the north.
Great, thank you. Let's go to the south, public comment.
No public comment in the south.
Okay, great. Let's bring it here to the central. Any public comment?
There's no indication of any public comment in person or online.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's go to item number 12. Brian, thank you again very, very much for a successful program. Item number 12, AB 617, implementation dates.
Through the chair.
Yes.
On this item, typically the district goes first, but the CARB representative has a hard cutoff at 11:45. So if you'd be okay with.
Absolutely. Go CARB. Yes, please. Stephanie? No. Who's the Brian Ward? Brian, please go ahead.
Hi, all, and thank you for putting me in front, Ryan. That's awesome. And I did just want to say, I do appreciate the Falcon Crest reference. I had flashbacks to watching the opening with my parents. I think they ever let me watch the show, but I pictured myself in my living room growing up when I heard that. So I appreciate it. And just like Ryan said, my name is Brian Moore. I'm one of the managers in CARB's Office of Community Air Protection. And just to give you a quick update on what we are doing, I do apologize for sounding like a broken record. Again, I'm going to mention the update to our guidance document for the program, the Blueprint 2.0, because that has been our main focus over the last year. Right now, we have completed holding some focus groups and our public workshops, and the comment period for the initial draft ended yesterday. So right now we are going through all those comments, and our CAR board will consider the final draft on September 27th. So that's coming up in, a little under 2 months. On August 18th, the public docket will open for that item for another round of public comment. And I'll definitely share the meeting notice when that comes out, which will have a link to the public docket as well. So we are kind of in the final stages of collating together all the lessons learned, criticisms, comments, direction we have gotten from stakeholders over the past, really 5 years since the program started. And hopefully we will have a new and improved guidance document for the program following the September 27th board meeting. And if there are any questions, specifically about the blueprint that I can answer now, that's great. And you all can always reach out to me through the Air District as well.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Appreciate everything you've done on this, and commend ARB's working with the district on this. So, okay, Stephanie, why don't we go ahead with you? And
Do you
then,
want to see if anybody
oh,
has
because
any
he's got to
questions?
leave. Yeah. All right, let's open it up to CAC board. Any questions of Brian before he leaves? In the north? Okay, hearing none, let's go to the south. Hearing none, let's bring it back here to the central. Let me also open it up to the public in the north. Any comments of Brian?
No public comment in the north.
Okay, let's go to the south.
No public comment in the south.
Great, bring it back here to the north, to the central, excuse me.
There's no indication of any public comment in person or online.
Okay, great. Brian, again, thank you very, very much for all your work and efforts working with the San Joaquin Valley staff. Appreciate it.
One
Thanks for
minute
the
to
opportunity.
spare.
Okay, great. Okay, let's go to Stephanie.
So this is, let me do an introduction. So Stephanie is a new program manager in the Community Strategies and Resources division. I'm happy to have her. She's doing a great job. And I know many of you are used to Jessica Olson. As you may have seen from June, she's due to have a baby anytime now. So, Stephanie will be providing updates to this committee for the foreseeable future.
I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth. Not yet, huh?
No, not yet. I checked in on her yesterday. She's still doing well.
Send our best.
We definitely will. Thank you so much.
Okay, please go ahead. Welcome aboard and to the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair and committee members. As you all are aware, we are working on the implementation of our community emissions reduction programs in our 4 Valley AB 617 communities of South Central Fresno, Shafter, Stockton, and Arbin Lamont. Some recent updates that we have since our last CAC meeting is that we are planning to hold several lawn and garden exchange events in the fall. And we've held some successful events in Fresno and Shafter, and we're really happy to be out in the community doing these events. And so we're planning to have these several events in the fall in our Stockton and Arbin Lamont communities. And this is an opportunity really for us to essentially give free electric lawnmowers to residents, which really is a great event to reduce local emissions, and an opportunity for us to really just get out in the communities and talk about the AB 617 program, and really all of our other Air District programs as well. In addition to that, we do have our urban greening and vegetative barriers proposals moving forward in our South Central Fresno community, and looking to start planting in the fall, which is really exciting. And we also are working on proposals in our Shafter and Stockton communities as well. In 3 of our Valley AB 617 communities of Fresno, Stockton, and Shafter, we do have our Clean Air Rooms program. We have, of course, our Valley-wide programs, but we also have AB 617 specific ones for these 3 communities to give out free air purifiers to residents. And so those programs are open, and we continue to work with our outreach and communications team, as well as our community steering committees to continue outreach and just getting folks signed up for these programs. And relevant to Brian's update that he just had, we did submit and are awaiting approval from CARB for 2 measures, our passenger vehicle repair and replace programs. Again, these are our AB 617 specific measures, and we do hope to have them approved so that we can start opening up these programs in the fall. And finally, we did have in these past couple months several in-person community steering committee meetings. Our most recent one we had in June in Fresno, which was actually our first meeting that we had since the beginning of the pandemic. And these events have been just an amazing opportunity for us to really meet face-to-face with our community members that we work with, month to month, but we often see and talk to more than, just that one time every month. And so we really enjoyed working with and getting to engage with people in person and to be able to share a meal with them. And so we're looking to actually have several more meetings to close out the end of the year. And those are the updates that I have for you all. I'm happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you very much. Going to the north, CAC members, any comments for Stephanie? Hearing none, let's go to the south. Any CAC member? Okay, let's bring it here to the central. Any comments on item number 12 from the CAC members? Okay, let's open it up to the public in the north. Public comment.
No public comment in the north.
Great, thank you. Let's go to the south.
No public comment in the south.
Great, let's bring it back here to the central.
There's no indication of any in-person or online comments in the central.
Great, thank you very much. Again, Stephanie, welcome aboard and thank you for everything you guys do on that program.
Thank you all.
Okay, let's go to item 13. The all but the young lady Heather. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to send you a picture manual. I'm going to explain my shirt real quick.
A large M&M?
It's a large M&M. We do lots of fun team building and staff-based activities around the district. And this week is Star Spirit Week. And so all the staff in the district were encouraged on different days to do work-appropriate dress. Today was Twin Day, and there's more than one of us in outreach. And so there's about half a dozen colors of M&Ms in the outreach team over here. If you'd like, I'll send you the photo. Okay. So it was Twin Day, and the idea was, to match a coworker and then send pictures in. And I saw the air monitoring team in the back. They all were wearing our lung shirts. It's a really good thing. I was very happy.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that explains that. Without being redundant, you have heard Ryan and Steph and Brian mention a lot of the work we've been doing. Hello, everyone. Heather Heinz, Outreach and Communications. We have been busy. Clean Air Rooms specifically want to note that while we're working on a lot of the outreach, AB 617 specific, we still have the Valley-wide program, and there's availability in the northern counties. So San Joaquin, Stanislaus, Merced, any of those areas, you continue spreading the word everywhere. We definitely have a wait list and intend to continue funneling the program if we can. But in the Northern Valley, if you spread the word, that's fantastic. We're working on that as well. I noted your information about the electronic sign. Thank you. We definitely do a lot of different types of outreach. That is one we've actually been researching lately because the AB 617 community in our event is very interested in digital signs. So I can tell you that we are on that front and we won't let you down. And then, of course, Ryan mentioned zero emission landscaping equipment, big event tomorrow, another one coming up at the end of the 1st of September up in the Northern Valley, like Turlock. A lot of work to get that equipment into the hands of the gardeners and small landscape businesses and commercial businesses across the valley. And then, hold on, let me look at my list. My last thing was back to school outreach. We are busy that time of year, knock on some wood. We're going to tell them all about wildfire resources and information, but at least we aren't in the thick of that right now. Our goal is to get all those clean air room purifiers and the information on the ground ahead of impending wildfire impacts. But we will be in AB 617 communities and other communities in the valley at school sites in the afternoon or the morning, depending on working it out with the school, talking to parents, giving them flyers on where to get grants, how to get clean air filters, how to protect yourself during a wildfire, what does AB 617 mean, and the like. So busy in the outreach team, but happy to be here, and I will take questions.
Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. At this time, I'll open it up to the CAC in the north. Comments for Heather? Hearing none, I'll go to the south. Any comments of CAC members for Heather on her program? Yes, please.
Heather, this is Fernando Rios. And Heather, just letting you know that I have a digital billboard on Highway 65 next to Teapot Dome. So feel free to reach out to me whenever the program gets closer to the fairgrounds. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. I will do so.
Got one.
Share with us, man.
Fantastic. Excellent, Fernando. Thank you very, very much. Any other CAC comments in the south? Okay, bring it here to the central. Any CAC comments? The only thing is you guys do, and gals, one heck of a job in promoting everything. And we thank you for everything you do here, because I don't hear much about from the other air districts in the state. And the only thing I hear a lot about is from what you guys do and gals. And again, Ryan, the entire team, everybody, and Shiraz and Brian, all of you, we really appreciate all the work that you and Jamie and that entire team does for the public and helping to take care of the underserved. And,
can't do it without you.
Yeah, but thank you for everything. Again, thank you. Let's go to the public. Any public comment of Heather for the north?
No public comment in the north.
Okay, great. Let's go to the south.
No public comment in the south.
Great. Let's bring it back here to the central.
No indication of public comments in office or online.
Thank you very much. Kobe, thank you very much for being also from the public side of businesses, being here at our meetings. Thank you. All right, let's go to item number 14, CAC comments. We'll entertain in the north any CAC comments you wish to make or request or any of those great opportunities.
I heard that about 6 automobile developers are planning to install 30,000 EV charging stations. Have you ever heard if the Central Valley plans to do something like that, or big developers?
Okay, I'll take a swing at answering the question. So specifically what you're referencing, I'm not very familiar with. However, we have, through our grants and incentives program, options and incentives for folks to install electric vehicle charging infrastructure throughout the valley. Level 2, level 3, we also have heavy duty charging infrastructure available. We've done, a lot, hundreds, thousands of chargers throughout the valley, and folks can come and connect with our department to get some information about that. We are very supportive of public charging infrastructure that's needed to support the deployment and rollout of all these light duty passenger vehicles, as well as heavy duty equipment that's coming that's going to need that infrastructure.
Yeah, I believe that has to do with, like auto manufacturers, GM and a few other automotive manufacturers have made a commitment to build out the nationwide network of electric charging, and, with throwing out an estimate of like installing 30,000 chargers across the country.
Okay. Any other CAC members in the north? Comments or thoughts or how things are going? Okay, let's go to the south. CAC members, any comments, whatever thoughts? This is your time to tell the chair not to give his own personal opinion, maybe. Okay, I hear nothing in the south, so let's move it here to the central. CAC members, any comments? Again, I will just say welcome to the new members of the CAC. We thank you very much for everybody that's been a part of it and helping us move forward. And Heather, thank you again. For follow-up, we have some things coming from, or we're going to be sending from CARB to everybody, and the dates that.
Yes, any of the information I get, I'll send out to the whole committee.
Okay, and then Ryan will make sure that the advisory committee for the hearing boards, that we get that taken care of everybody. And
yes, thank you so much for everybody that volunteered. Really appreciate it. And Katrina will be reaching out to coordinate that.
Okay, super. Again, thank you all. Appreciate it very much. Let's see. Okay, we'll be happy to do the presentation to the board on item number, oh, yeah, I don't have to go to public, on the 15th. No, number 15 item.
That's you.
Yeah, right. So, when is the board meeting set for?
17th.
The 17th of August.
But he was saying on item 15.
No, I know what he was, but I'm just making sure he's gonna be there.
Yes, I will be there. It's age, I guess, or tiredness. I don't know what it is. But anyway, listen, all of you, thank you very, very much. Again, I appreciate all the staff, gentlemen, for controlling the voice levels and everything. Thank you all very much. The executives, thank you. And the entire senior team and all the staff here at the Air District and Bakersfield and up in Modesto. Thank you for everything you do for the community, for the people. I mean, you folks are very special, and you really do care about the underserved that needs help and whatever, and those that aren't the underserved, but you do, and take care of them as well the right way. So appreciate it all. We have concluded this meeting to adjourn at 2 minutes till, and that is the first time ever.
But I thought you were trying to get to noon is what you were doing.
No? I'm trying to get this thing done.
Okay, just say adjourned and you've done it.
You are adjourned.
There you go.
Thank you all very much.
Well done.